What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid fade on my boy, so stay tuned. We started off by picking out the hair and combing everything into place, making sure everything's nice and neat and that his hair combed out. Now that we're done laying down his hair, we can move on to our NST outliners and create our first guideline. I'm making sure I contour this guideline to his head shape so that the fade could flow better. Now that we're done balding him out, we can move on to debulking the sides with a 1.5 guard all the way open. That's equivalent to a 2 guard all the way closed. But since we're going with the grain, it's not going to take down that much hair, it's going to leave enough hair for us to blend into. Now that we're done debulking the sides with our 1.5 guard all the way open, we could then move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. You usually want to make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. Now that we're done setting in our second guideline, we could then slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline at the bottom. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, I'm going to go ahead and use my 1 guard all the way open to go with the grain and debulk on the sides. Now I'm using my 1 guard all the way open to create my third guideline. I'm also going to use this same guard to soften up this line and get ready for the half guard. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some extra support, go ahead and leave a follow down below on the Instagram. Now that we're done using our half guard, we're going to go ahead and use our 1.5 guard to go with the grain and debulk as much as possible. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we're going to go ahead and start shaping up the sides and connect the top to the bottom. Here I'm switching back to my 1.5 guard and I'm going to go with the grain as much as possible without debulking too much of the sides. I'm gonna do a Q&A video soon, so go ahead and leave some questions and I'll leave some answers in the next video. When cutting extremely curly hair, you always want to make sure you want to lay the hair down with your comb and also detangle it as much as possible. Now that we're done detailing the sides, we can move on to the back and start off with our no guard all the way open. Once you're done setting in that guideline, you then want to slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline at the bottom. Before we get into our next guideline, I'm going to shape it up a little bit just to clean it up. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we could then move on to our one guard all the way open and use it to create our third guideline. Remember, we're also going to use this same guard to soften up this line and get ready for the half guard. Now we're going with the grain with our 1.5 guard again. This is right on top of the occipital bone, so we want to make sure we detail and line it up as much as possible here. Using my one guard all the way open, I'm going to detail as much as possible, especially near the C-cup area because there's a little bit of darkness that I wanted to remove. Before we do his front line, we're going to go ahead and shape up the front just to clean it up. Now that we're done debulking his front line, we can then use our comb to lay his hair down. We're also going to use a little bit of Tresemme hairspray to make the hair stay in place. Using our NST outliners, we're going to start off at the middle and work our way to the sides, and we're going to go as slow as possible, making sure that the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer. You also want to make sure not to press too hard because you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Now we're moving on to the C-cup. I usually start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch, but I started off at the top and then worked my way to the bottom arch. It's always best to go back and detail the fade once you're done lining them up, because then it reveals some dark spots that you usually didn't see. Now that we're done putting it in the front line, we could then use our curl sponge and make them as curly as possible. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some extra support, go ahead and leave a follow down below on the Instagram. Now that we're done detailing the fade, we can move on to our Turkish razor and Durban premium blades and make them as crispy as possible. When you're using your razor, you always want to keep it at a 45-degree angle and stretch the skin as much as possible with your opposite hand. This is going to lower the likelihood of you cutting someone. I also make sure I sharpen up his eyebrows but keep them as natural as possible. What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid-fade comb over on my boy, so stay tuned. We started off by pinning up the hair and debulking the sides with the 3-guard all the way open. I'm also making sure I feed the hair into the clipper using the comb, and I flick out with my guard as much as possible. Now that we're done debulking the sides, we can move on to our Goat FX and create our first guideline on his side temple. Now that we're done botting him out with our Goat FX, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Now that we're done setting in our second guideline, we can then slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. Make sure to use your corners because it is a small area. Now that we're done setting in our third guideline and softening up the line with our lever, we could then move on to our half guard and try to erase the line completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. This is going to help us blend into the bulk on top. Now that we're done using our two guard, we can move on to our clipper over comb method and complete our silhouette. When using your clipper over comb method, you want to make sure you use your horizontal cuts to debulk and your vertical cuts to blend. And always keep the comb at a certain degree and angle which is needed. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some extra support, go ahead and leave a follow down below on Instagram. Now using our three guard all the way open, we're going to go ahead and flick out as much as possible using our comb to feed the hair into the clipper. Now to help us blend between the two guard all the way open and the one guard all the way open, we're going to use our 1.5 guard and use the lever to erase the line completely. Sometimes there's still a faint line after using your 1.5 guard, so switching over to your one guard all the way open and using his corners would definitely help. Now that we're done with our side taper, we can move on to the sideburns of the beard and go ahead and start to begin to blend with our no guard all the way open. When you're blending the sideburns of the beard, it's pretty much opposite of the side taper. You're just going backwards and upside down. Now we're moving on to our one guard all the way open after blending with our no guard all the way open. Before we line up his beard, we're going to make sure we lay his head down and lay all the hairs down. And then we're going to use our Goat FX to start off at the bottom and work our way to the sides. When you're near the side area, you want to make sure to be careful not to pinch the side of the neck with the teeth of the trimmer, because there is extra skin there, so you could bite them. Make sure to comb down the hair with your comb, especially when you're near the beard area. The hairs are usually a lot curlier. Now that we're done lining up the beard, we're going to go back to our side taper and detail as much as possible before we do our C-cup. Now that we're done blending out the sides and the beard, we can move on to our gold effects and create our C-cup. I usually start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch using the corners of the blade. It's always best to go as slow as possible and take as much time as possible here, especially when you're near the C-cup area. You just want to make sure you etch that line in sharply. Now that we're done lining up our C-cup, we're going to move on to the back taper and use our gold FX to create our first guideline. Now that we're done budding them out with our gold FX, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Once you're done setting in this guideline with the lever all the way open, you then want to slightly close the lever midway and all the way closed and attack that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we could then move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. Remember, we're going to use this same guard and its lever to soften up this line and get ready for the half guard. As you guys can see, now that the line is soft enough with our lever, we can move on to our half guard and try to erase it completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. You also want to make sure you flick out as much as possible and soften up the line with your lever to get it ready for the 1.5 guard. Again, sometimes after you're using your 1.5 guard, there's still a faint line, so switching over to your one guard all the way open and using its corners will definitely help. Using our 3 guard all the way open, we're going to go ahead and go right above the occipital bone and make sure we flick out as much as possible to the top bulk. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 3 guard, we can move back to our 2 guard all the way open and begin to remove it completely. After softening up the line with our 2 guard all the way open, we're then moving on to our 1.5 guard, and we're using the corners to flick out any dark spots that we see. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our clipper over comb method. Again, just like I said in the beginning, when I'm using my horizontal cuts, it's mainly to debulk, and also when I use my vertical cuts, it's mainly to blend. Now that we're done with our rough draft of the back taper, we can then move on to our gold FX and continue to line up the back of the ear. I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch, especially using the corners of the blade. Also, don't be afraid to move the ear out of the way, especially when you're lining up near this area. Now that we're done detailing, we could then move on to our Turkish razor and Derby premium blades and make them as crispy as possible. But before we do that, we're going to apply some shade gel so that the blade could glide better. You also want to make sure you apply enough near the neck area because the hair is usually thicker there. Now that we're done applying gel, we could then move on to our Turkish razor and Derby premium blades and make them as crispy as possible. As you guys can see, I'm using my opposite hand to make the skin as tight as possible, and I'm also keeping the blade at a 45-degree angle so it lowers the likelihood of you cutting it. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some extra support, go ahead and leave a follow down below on the Instagram. I'm also going to be doing his eyebrows and his C-cup area with the blade. Near the eyebrow area, you want to make sure you stretch the skin as much as possible because the looser the skin, the more likelihood of you cutting them.